Angeles trying to go 9-5 and stay in the thick of that wild card chase. New Orleans hoping they can get back together and get back in this ball game. And their defensive unit will take the lineup at the 20-yard line as Barry Redden downs it. At the end of the first half, the Rams with 12 first downs, and they have almost doubled the total of offensive yardage, 207 to 104. On the ground, 121 for Los Angeles. Interesting there that New Orleans 5 times this year has given up more than 200 yards rushing. Each of those 5 times they have been defeated. They have had possession of the football for just a little bit more than Los Angeles, but the turnovers have cost them. Eric Dickerson for the first half with 81 yards, 1 touchdown. His longest gain was 16 yards. And he has moved into the number 3 position of all-time Ram rushers already here in his second year. He'll get the handoff to begin the second half. And skirts over left tackle for a gain of 6. Lawrence McCutcheon is the all-time leading Ram ground gainer with 6,186 yards. Dickey Bass with 5,417 yards. Dickerson now has moved beyond Deacon Dan Towler with 3,521 yards in his year and a little more than a half. Almost 2 years of rushing.
I had a good talk with Dick Bass prior to the game. It's been a long time since I had seen it.
It's been a long time since he's played. Back in the 60s. Second down 4, Los Angeles. Dickerson again. Not quite enough for the first down. It'll be just about a half foot short as Ricky Jackson and Jim Kovach make the tackle.
Well, you know the thing they're going to do, they're going to run that football. The Saints knew it coming in here. They've come in, they've run, established the football well. They've thrown a touchdown pass, made some good things happen. They come out now and they've run the football 2 times in a row, and they've went right over their guards and centers. And that time Hara, number 60 in the center, Doug Smith, 56, double teamed on Tony Elliott, number 99, the nose tackle, blew him by and then cut back in behind and make a good gain out of it.
Third and just about a foot, maybe less. Barry Redden in the backfield with Dickerson. Lines up to the left side. Quarterback keeper, send your strongest runner. And they did.
Well, you don't want to send him too often now. You don't want to give away your secret play, you know. That's the one you save.
And he almost got what you were talking about, that safety meeting him up in midair. But Kemp picks up the first down. I marvel at the game that Bill Bain is playing against Bruce Clark, because Clark is a guy that really has had a terrific season, Terry.
Clark is a guy that, you know, actually is a Pro Bowl quality player. He probably in all likelihood could make the Pro Bowl this year on a football team that is struggling to finish at 500.
Happiest man in the world when John Robinson got the job here replacing Ray Malavasi was Bill Bain, because Malavasi used to make Bain weigh in every Friday, and it cost him $25 a pound for every pound he was overweight. Dickerson to about the 33.
Well, you know, you talk about a guy, and the people probably say, why are you talking so much about Bill Bain? Well, there are blocks, and then there are blocks. Now, folks, this is one of those there are blocks. Watch, 62 comes off, gets up inside of number 75 that time, Clark, and just pushes him in the ground and steps on it, and then turns around to admire his prey. I see you. And I'll tell you, number 75 is quite a man. Bruce Clark. We've been around him a lot, and I've seen him with his shirt off, and I tell you, he's a Hercules.
Second down, 7. Timeout. Something about the alignment that Jeff Kemp didn't like. 12:01 to go, third quarter. Time has been called, and the 24-7 Ram lead. For years in Southern California, John Robertson was a popular character here in Southern California, a popular figure. He has become, if possible, even more well-liked in his role with the Rams now in his second year. 24-7, second down, 7. Dickerson, the lone setback, 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. Dickerson. Frank Warren, number 73, up around the shoulders to help make the tackle.
I was talking to Jack Youngblood yesterday, and, you know, and the conversation eventually led to Robinson. I said, what kind of guy is he? Are you like playing for him? And he said, I love him. Terry, I love the guy. He said, man, he said, he's one of the nicest guys. He said, he encourages players. He says, calls you over and he says, hey, you know, I believe in you. I believe you got a lot of talent. You can play better now. Let's get out there and play. He said he's a real encourager. What do you call one of those, you know, players, one of those coaches? Yeah, player coach. Say it for me. Anyway, they like the guy. Let's say that.
That's the essential part of it. 3rd and 3. stunts by the New Orleans defensive line. Kemp goes deep, has a man open. First down at the 43 as Barry Redden makes the catch. Bobby Johnson, number 34, and Ricky Jackson collaborate on the tackle. Well, there's a player's coach, too, Bum Phillips, but it's been a tough year for Bum and a tough day. Seattle leading Detroit 21-17 in the third quarter of that important battle for the Seahawks. Los Angeles, we are told, just stopped Miami on the 1-foot line, and they retained their lead over Miami 17-13 at halftime. It'll be first down and 10. Dickerson with 97 yards, 3 more, and he's got his 11th 100-yard rushing game of the season. Reverse. Ron Brown, who once he gets the ball knows what to do with it, head downfield. Gold medalist from the 1984 Olympic 400-meter sprint relay team.
This is one of the tosses. What Kemp turns around and tosses back, comes back and makes a key block for Brown. Look at the block right there. He does a super job of making the block on Jackson. Brown gets out front. Dennis Harrah tries to block Dave Waymer, do a very good job, and Brown runs right up his back. You know, one of the things Robinson said about this guy was, you know, if anything, I want him to develop as a football player. It's not how many great plays he makes for me. I want to see the development as a football player and as a receiver.
Dickerson on second and short. Oh, boy, what a pop.
Well, Tony Elliott, 99, he's been saying cutback runs all this year. They cutting in, cutting back. Dickerson's piled up about 80 yards already. He says, now it's my time to get even. As you can see, he lunges out front of the center. Doug Smith sits there right in the hole. Boy, he just whop right inside. 29. Look at that.
How'd he go?
Whop right down inside. Oh, man. I'm afraid I'd have just had to avoid that little collision.
That hurts to hear you say it.
Dang. Oh,
Eric Dickerson, though, boy, has he displayed resilience in his career. He's not been hurt much. It's funny, I had the rare pleasure of watching him for all 4 years at SMU, and also saw him in his high school championship game, Terry.
Sealy, Texas.
Sealy, Texas, and I was talking to him yesterday. I said, now tell me again.
He played with old Butch Colby down there.
Yes, indeed, and Willie Colby was also part of the team.
The brothers, Colby brothers.
They beat Wiley 42-20. Wiley. Dickerson got 311 yards.
Wiley, Texas. I spoke down for a group of folks down in Sealy, big town Sealy, Texas.
Again.
There's that power back. Boy, I like to see that. That's getting to look good now.
Great blocking by Bain, Harrah, Smith, Kent Hill, Irv Pankey, and Russ Bollinger. They just moved the same line back.
You know, Dickerson he's a legend in Sealy, Texas. And when I went down there to speak, that's all they talked about. Dickerson. Boy, y'all see this guy, this Dickerson. Man, he's from here. They had signs up, home of Eric Dickerson, and I mean, it was unbelievable how much they loved that guy down there. Well, small town.
He still makes his off-season home there and in California. He bought a home for his mother, Viola. Said it was a lot cheaper than the real estate in California. Kemp. Henry Ellard. Good defensive play by Dave Waymer with help from Frank Wadley.
One of the things look at Dave Dempsey. Yeah, one of the things these cornerbacks have, you know, they may get beaten on a play. You know, you might beat them. But the real key to a great defensive back is that closing speed, that burst for the football to knock away that ball. And that time, Waymer, 44, comes in from his left corner spot and knocks that football away. Watley, number 49, the free safety, also good job of closing in on that football, preventing him from making a big play. He was to be the heir apparent to my job there. He was the guy that they said was going to be a great quarterback. They brought him in there. He ran a 4.440, believe it or not.
Know what he told me yesterday?
No telling what he told you.
Well, among other things, he said one thing he couldn't compete with. He had more hair than you did.
Oh, man. Everybody has more hair than me, but not as much fun.
That's true.
Second and 15.
Louisiana Tech won yesterday over at Alcorn State.
Hey, how about those Bulldogs? A.L. Williams, F.J. Taylor, all my buddies down there.
Second and 15. Dickerson to the 46-yard line as Tony Elliott makes the tackle again. And unofficially, we've now got Eric Dickerson with 101 yards. Yep, 101, and that's his 11th time this year and the 20th time already in his career that he's rushed for 100 yards or plus.
You know, the thing that's amazing about him, and when you see greatness, the people that are making the great things happen make it look so easy, so effortlessly. And he's done that there 100 yards. It just looks like the guy's just been going through a casual day of practice.
3rd and 11. Gibb got nailed. He let it go. Legal catch. Whitney Paul with the ball. Now they're going to whistle it back.
Now they're calling it off. They're saying no completion. Didn't have control of it. Now the Saints are going to come out here and they're going to argue with this, but this is a good call. He did not have control of that football.
One official close to the ball did not signal incomplete catch, and that's when Whitney Paul picked it up and ran with it. So John Misko comes on to punt after the incomplete pass. He's had an inactive afternoon. Jitter Fields is back at the 11-yard line. Saints have 10 men up on the line, now 9. Now 8.
Trying to mess up their count call. See Guman turn around trying to mess up their count.
Snap back for Misko, no rush. Fields with a fair catch will let it bounce. Takes a ram roll to the 11-yard line. So the New Orleans offense with Dave Wilson at quarterback is back on the... Hobie Brenner in motion. He's not going to pass today. Rodgers trying to get outside and does. Then is waylaid by Leroy Irvin, Jim Collins, and Vince Newsom. Watch the play here, Terry, of Mike Wilshire, number 54.
Mike Wilshire's a young guy. He's a first-year guy. He's a rookie. He's the guy that's filling in right now. And talking to Robinson, he does a good job. You know, he doesn't excel at the run, at playing the run. Doesn't excel at covering the pass. Just a good linebacker. But right now he's learning his trade. He's learning against an outstanding offensive line.
He's the guy that took Lawrence Taylor's place at North Carolina when Taylor was drafted. Wilson. Incomplete at 29. Intended for Lindsey Scott. And Gary Green was defending on the play. Well, the tightest race in the NFL is that NFC East race. Washington, of course, defeated Minnesota 31-17 the other night. The Giants today defeated the Jets to go 9-5. And the Cowboys over Philadelphia 26-10. St. Louis also a winner on the road today in New England. The result of which is that the race remains as tight as it was. Three-way tie at 9-5. St. Louis only a game back with 2 games remaining. And the Cowboys meet the Redskins next week, while the Giants beat St. Louis. You'll see both games on CBS. Wilson. Scott, first down at the 35.
Oh, that's a great job of the offensive line that time of Court and those guys trying to hold out. They picked up the games that time. Hill and Court and Adelman setting back in there. They had the game zone with a nose tackle in the end. Jeter in there. They picked him up. Wilson stood his ground and hit Lindsey Scott over the middle. That's a good play that time.
Scott with 2 catches today for 35 yards, including his first touchdown as a pro. 6:05 to go third quarter, 24-7. Los Angeles leads. Scott goes wide right. Gross comes wide left. Wilson for Scott again to the 39-yard line.
I tell you, when you're watching Scott now, he's caught a couple of passes, caught that big touchdown pass, and you got Wilson now. He's completed a couple of passes, and things that you're going to see happen here, Vern, is the fact that the confidence is going to rise. These guys are going to say, hey, man, I can catch a football. Wilson says, I see you can catch it. Boy, they're going to throw that football, and these guys are going to block harder. And I guarantee you that one catch that he made in the end zone for a touchdown has changed this young man's career. Lindsey Scott, number 80 right there.
Second down at 5 after the pickup of 5 in the last play. Rodgers the lone setback again. Rodgers in the draw play. Got a little room. Squirts through that opening near the 45. Carl Ecker, number 55, made the tackle with help from Jim Collins.
Well, that's good second effort that time by Rodgers, number 38. He was tackled actually, Vern, about 3 or 4 yards short, but just kept lunging, kept pulling, kept dragging guys, and finally got that baby down there and got the first down.
Been a tough year for George Rogers. 9 carries for 22 yards. He opened the season some 13 weeks ago against Atlanta with 102 yards, and he has not been above 100 since then. Larry Hardy comes in as an extra tight end now for the Saints on 1st and 10 from the 45. Wilson replaced Richard Todd midway through the second quarter and led New Orleans on an 80-yard drive for its only score. Right side, intercepted. Picked off by Gary Green, number 27. One man to beat. And Brad Edelman saves the touchdown.
We're going to watch it again. You're going to see Dave Wilson, number 18, as he gets back. The thing that you work on as a quarterback is timing. Now, he throws this football early before Lindsey makes his break and throws the football behind Lindsey Scott, number 80. Now you see Gary Green, 27. He picks the football off, plays it high in the air, makes a good block. Now he's turned into an offensive back. Good blocks downfield, cuts inside, does a good job of running with the football. Brad Edelman, 6'3", comes over and saves the day. You know, one of the things about throwing an interception, and you make a great effort to get downfield here, Vern, to make the tackle. Boy, you're busting your tail. You got guys coming. You got 22 Vince Newsom coming there trying to make a block on you. And then you get a chance to get Gary Green. You tackle your own guy. Wait a minute. I got the wrong guy. Wait a minute. Come back here.
Jeff Groth couldn't believe it.
Do you believe that? Tackle the wrong... I don't blame him. At least he tried to tackle. I wouldn't even made an attempt to tackle a guy.
60-yard return by Gary Green on his 3rd pass interception of 1984. And the Rams have the ball at the Saint 21-yard line. Make it 22. Dickerson.
Eric Dickerson.
About the 18-yard line. Watch the blocking on the left side of Irv Pankey and Kent Hill.
We know Pankey went out last year. Number 75, the left tackle. Kent Hill said number 72, the left guard. Pankey went out last year with an Achilles heel tendon, and then that gave Bill Bain, an opportunity to play, and he played well. Well, when he came back this year, Pankey that is, well, Bain had already earned a starting job, and Bain said, gee, I'm glad to have Pankey back. Pankey's back in there again. This guy's an all-pro, number 75.
Second down and 4. Dickerson going left again. Ducks under the potential head-wrecking tackle of Ricky Jackson. And Bruce Clark finally makes the stop, number 75. Dickerson inside the 15-yard line.
You know, the left side of that line with Pankey and Hill, you know, those are all pros. Those guys, that's a Pro Bowl side offensive line. You move on the other side, you got Harrah and Bain, and Bain makes pro. That's an all-pro side over there with Doug Smith at the center. The long guy kind of hanging out there.
Talked to Hokie Gajan yesterday about Eric Dickerson. He said Eric Dickerson is the kind of back all of us would love to be. If you could make a perfect back, it would be Eric Dickerson. Dickerson with 108 yards so far in the game. 3rd and short. Dickerson going left again. Close.
Well, good job that side by Winston, Paul, Wilkes. All those guys caved in that right side of that all-pro line we were just talking about. Looks like they either held them short or they made it, but it looks like it's going to be a little short. But they did a good job, good serve.
Whitney Paul, number 51.
Look at 75 getting up over there. Good job by Clark coming across, trying to get in on the tackle.
I'll tell you, Bruce Clark will ache on the plane going home tonight. So will Whitney Paul. They've had a lot of contact. It'll be 4th down, and the field goal unit will come on. Mike Lansford 1 of 1 today, has hit 12 of his last 13.
Field goal formation, field goal hold. Lansford
I'll tell you again, if you joined us late, that he was bothered by a virus all week long. And there was some concern as to whether he could play this week, but he's done all the kickoff chores, and this will be a second field goal attempt. Out of Steve Dill's hold, kick is good. So the lead has been increased After the 60-yard interception by Gary Green, it's now 27-7. Mike Lansford, who is 2 of 2 from field goal position, getting ready to kick off. Jitter Fields and Tyrone Anthony back at the goal line for the New Orleans Saints. 27-7 with 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. It was 24-0 at one point, 24-7 at the half.
Jitter Fields and Tyrone Anthony are good.
Kick taken by Jitter Fields. And he gets it only as far as the 20-yard line. 5th round draft choice from the University of Texas. Coming up next Sunday, the NFL Today will feature a profile of Tom Landry, who has now announced that he'll be back for at least 2 more years as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Check your local listing for the time of that day, and then we've got a doubleheader next week, and what a great matchup it'll be. First game will feature the Giants against the St. Louis Cardinals at 12:30 Eastern Time. Both teams very much in the thick of the NFC East, and then the Washington Redskins and Cowboys from Texas Stadium in Irving. NFL doubleheader next weekend on CBS Sports. 1st and 10, and Wilson will throw. Hobie Brenner with the catch on the screen for about 5 yards. Jim Collins made the tackle, number 50. That is Brenner's first catch. He's had kind of an erratic year, a couple of games with multiple catches. But
well, he's, you know, the kind of year he's had is catch 5 or 6 and 100 yards and a couple of TDs, or he won't catch any. Last year, you know, he'd catch 1 or 2 every game. It was kind of a consistent, even kill season. This year, he's either been, you know, just outstanding, or you didn't hear from him.
Brenner playing back at home, graduated from Southern Cal. 2nd down and 6. Tyrone Anthony is the running back now. We have yet to see Earl Campbell in the game. Almost caught, little bit behind Eugene Goodlow. Would have been a tough catch.
I'll tell you, that was a good play that time by Leroy Urban. You know, he's an interesting young man. He says when the situations are really critical, Vernon, he says, I know they're not going to throw on 27 Gary Green. He's an all-pro. They're going to pick on me. And he says, I like that. I liken myself to Lester Hayes. I want to be the guy to make the big plays. I had dreams of making big plays. He almost made a big play there. Well, he did make a big play. Prevented the completion.
Had a big play to start the game with a 51-yard pass interception return for a touchdown. 3rd down, 6. New Orleans is 4 out of 4 on 3rd down conversion since Wilson came on. Now they're 4 out of 5. Intended for Junior Miller, but behind him, it'll be 4th down.
Well, you can credit that incompletion to Carl Eckern, their left inside middle linebacker, number 55, who did a good job that time of firing up the middle of the line and putting pressure on Wilson that time.
There's a confused and somewhat disheartened Earl Campbell. Traded for a number 1 draft pick and thought he would play. Said last week, I have never sat on the bench since I was in junior high school, and it's a little tough to adjust to. Henry Ellard back to return Brian Hanson's punt. Ellard waits at the 29-yard line. Nice high kick, but Ellard will have a chance to return it. Whoa! Flag is also down. Back at the 42-yard line. So we'll check that. Tom Dooley will see what the infraction is. That was a 46-yard punt. Penalty against the Rams. 3 on the return with a hang time of 4.3. Ultimately, they will walk this off to the north. But it may take a while.
So, well, listen. That's Wade Phillips on the right.
Personal foul, post-possession foul, half the distance to the goal, 1st down against number 28 of the receivers.
You know, that must be hard. We saw Wade Phillips standing to the right of his father, Bum Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
Defense has had a hard day today. The offense has had a hard day, but Wade Phillips is a defensive coordinator. I wonder what father and son talk about during a game like this.
How to get it turned around, I think.
I reckon.
Timeout has been called. The Rams get the ball back. They have it inside their own 15-yard line, but they lead it 27-7. Bum Phillips trying to solve the puzzle of the afternoon as his team trails 27-7 with less than a minute to go. And there is his son, Wade Phillips, the defensive coordinator, standing on the left of your screen. First down and 10, Los Angeles. They have the ball at their own 14-yard line. On the ground for the season, the Rams have been averaging 167 yards per game. They have 162 closing in at the end of the third quarter here this afternoon. And it's come, Terry, kind of quietly. Longest gain by Jeff Kemp of 17 yards.
Well, it has. It's like I said earlier, things just kind of even, you know, move along kind of evenly. Then bam, boy, they got that thing in the end zone. Then they get a break. You know, they get an interception, and they're back down there again. They get a field goal out of it. So it's just been kind of that. Hasn't been one of these 90 yards or 95-yard jobs. Just kind of quietly, steady, going about doing their job.
Eric Dickerson, 25 carries for 110 yards. He is the lone setback now on 1st and 10. Fumble. Saints have it. And Terry Hogue, who some think was robbed of a fumble recovery for a touchdown last week, comes up with it. He's the rookie from Georgia. And the Saints have gotten the turnover.
Well, once again, they give it to Dickerson, who has been known to fumble the football. He has been known to cough it up. Good shot right there. You can see the ball laying right down between Ricky Jackson's feet, number 57. Hogue, 24, slips up in there, grabs the football. Saints ball. You know, they can get this thing on the scoreboard. It's 27-14.
They almost have to score here, but if they do, we've got a ball game. Guy John and Tyrone Anthony in the backfield. Wilson to throw. Going deep in the end zone. Might have been a mix-up. Intended for Tyrone Young.
Well, you can look at that in several ways. As you saw then, young Dave Wilson point one way. He could have been pointing to the receiver this or that. But if he runs the wrong route, don't reward him by throwing him the football. You know, turn your head around and go to the other side and try to pick up a second or third receiver. If that guy runs the wrong route, then go ahead and pick up somebody else. You got other people out there running routes for you to help get that thing in there.
Tyrone Anthony starts out and then comes back in. Dave Wilson, since replacing Todd midway through the second quarter, now 7-14 for 72 yards. He has not been sacked, and Todd was sacked 4 times in the first quarter and a half. It'll be 2nd and 10 from the 20. Reverse. Anthony goes by the attempted tackle of Leroy Irvin. He gets it only to the 17-yard line.
You know, these reverses are used, like, once again, to when you have people that are really chasing. If you got the left side, see Wilter, number 54. If these guys are really pursuing to the right, then you run those reverses and catch them off guard, and then the guy goes back around. Well, that's what they thought that the Rams were going to do that time. They came out with a little play action, a little reverse, trying to catch them in the flow. Bam, good little gain, got them 4 yards out of it.
Looks like the Rams and the Saints will allow the quarter to expire without another play. That's the end of the third quarter with our score 27-7. Los Angeles, they now pause for a word from your local station. Back for the final quarter from Anaheim Stadium. Vern Lundquist and Terry Bradshaw. New Orleans facing a 3rd down and 7, and they trail by 20 points. Guy John, the lone setback. Tyrone Young wide right. Blitz coming against Wilson. Reads it, picks it up, goes for Brenner. Diving catch, 1st and goal.
I tell you, this is a good job. This is Hobie Brenner. He's coming down here. This is hometown for Hobie out of USC. Good job. He comes off. They have a blitz on. He knows it when he left the line of scrimmage. He knew it was man for man. It's blitz. You can see him. He's got 1 step that time. There's a pass. A good job by Wilson getting in there. And a good job that time on Sully, guy that was covered. And good job of getting that ball in there and catching it. Big play.
2nd catch of the afternoon for Hobie Brenner for 18 yards. 1st and goal just inside the 4. As we get underway with the 4th quarter, 27-7 the score. George Rogers back in the lineup, and timeout has been called by the Rams. So Los Angeles uses 1 of its allotted 3. Wilson goes over to talk with Bum Phillips and John Levra on the sideline. And see if they can't get into the end zone. Of course, we're winding down with the National Football League season in 1984, heading toward the playoffs, and NCAA basketball has begun. Next Saturday, the UNLV Runnin' Rebels go east to meet the top-ranked Georgetown Hoyas. That's live at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on CBS. Patrick Ewing And that entire bunch of John Thompson, picked #1 in the preseason polls, and with all of that talent returning, not much doubt that they're going to be tough to defeat, particularly at home. But Jerry Tarkanian and his group will bring the Runnin' Rebels east, and you'll see the game next Saturday live, 1 o'clock Eastern time on CBS. Bum Phillips pulled Richard Todd in the second quarter after Todd had gone 1 for 5, 2 interceptions and 4 sacks. Kind of a game that was reminiscent for Richard, the one he had the first game in San Francisco, when he was 2 for 5 with 3 interceptions. So the West Coast has not been kind to Todd this year. First and goal.
89 is wide open. Nobody is on Tyrone. Look at that. Nobody covered him.
There wasn't a soul there.
They called timeout, the Rams did, and evidently it looked like
a hidden man play.
Just totally lost sight of number 89, Tyrone Young, who stands 6'6". How can you lose sight? Look at John. He said, how in the world did we leave that guy uncovered?
There was not anybody out there.
Tyrone Young was standing on the left, folks, and he was waving his hands. Look at him standing out. No one around him. Not a soul around him. How in the world can you not cover a wide receiver? And that's just a mental breakdown. That's just an absolute mental breakdown. Unbelievable.
I'm wondering if somehow he didn't rejoin the huddle. It sort of looked like the old hidden man play. Morton Anderson, with the extra point, has cut the margin to 10 at 24-14.
Can't be a hidden man play because someone has a responsibility. If the corner's in there, it says, where's my man? Look at this. There's no one there. There's no corner in this football game. Man had to be out of the game. I guarantee you now, I can come back and play with guys open like that. Folks, what you're going to see is you count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9's going to be rushing with a wide receiver on the right. There's 10. There's no right cornerback for these Los Angeles Rams. Wilson sees it. Tyrone Young is out there screaming, waving his hands. There's no way in the world. You know what the Rams should have done? They should have turned around and called timeout right now. And when they saw him waving his hands, but they didn't do that, and Wilson threw him the touchdown. Unbelievable.
That's the darkest thing I've seen.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Morton Anderson kicks it off. And let me correct myself. I gave a score of 24-14. It is 27-14, of course. And Barry Redden will take the touchback, and the Rams will have it at the 20-yard line. Coming up tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes, followed by a really special show. Ken and Dolly, Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, A Christmas to Remember, and that will be followed by Circus of the Stars tonight on CBS.
Parton?
That's... I don't know. I don't know. I've got no explanation. If you can explain to me where the right quarterback was, I'll try and tell you how I read that promo.
I won't even attempt it, Parton.
1st and 10. Henry Ellard. Wayne Crutchfield gets the handoff. 27-14 our score. Now let's go to Brent Musburger in New York for an NFL update.
Bert, I tell you, Seattle's Dave Craig has been throwing against 11 men all day and still getting the job done. Here's his 4th touchdown pass against the Lions. 28 TD passes on the year. The only man who's thrown more is Dan Marino. Back to Vern and Terry.
Thank you, Brett. Isn't that an amazing year for Craig?
It is amazing. Here's a guy that just came out of a little small school up there around the Great Lakes area, Minnesota, and somewhere. 28 touchdowns. Unbelievable. Having a great year.
2nd down and 5. The 3rd and about 2. Whitney Paul, number 51, makes the tackle on Joyne Crutchfield with help from Jim Wilkes. Of course, there's a wild card chase going on in the AFC, and Kansas City got 3 field goals from Nick Lowry today to defeat Denver. New England also a loser to St. Louis, 33-10. And Seattle now leading Detroit 28-17. So the Seahawks, with a victory today, would take a 1-game edge in the division over Denver, and the Raiders have increased their lead over Miami to 24-13. Going into today, 11-2, 11-3 for Denver. The Raiders 9-4, and New England now at 8-6. 3rd down, 2. Dickerson didn't get it. It'll be 4th down.
I'll tell you what.
And the Saints have found a spark.
You heard that old Mo. You can see it's kind of turned over. The defense has played good here in the second half. Wilson coming in at quarterback has ignited the offense. They put 2 touchdowns on the scoreboard, 2 touchdown passes. Now it's spread over to the defense. They stop him here. Now they're going to get this football back. And this Misko guy, he hasn't really been kicking that well because they've been bringing, you know, punters in all over the country trying to give him a little tryout because this guy hasn't been doing a good job. So they're going to get good field position here.
Misko on his last 11 punts has averaged only 33.5 yards.
Bad kick.
Bad kick. Jitter Fields at the 40. To the 45.
Well, Bum Phillips has got to be happy about the good field position. Now they need to take it on in there.
Timeout has been called. Back in Anaheim Stadium, Vern Lundquist and Terry Bradshaw. 11:54 to go in the ball game. The Saints are trying to make a comeback of it. They trail 24-0 at one point. They have a 1st and 10 at their own 45 with 11:54 to go and all 3 timeouts left. Full-man rush. Wilson's screen pass intercepted. Reggie Doss almost had it. Almost had it. It was intended for Hokie Gajan, and Doss read the play and drifted back.
I tell you, their defense, the Rams' defense today, Vern, has been as responsible for this game, the outcome, or the results so far at 27 points, as the offense has. Once again, 71 had an opportunity for a big turnover that could have put the Rams back in the field position to go in and make another score and really make it hard for these Saints. He dropped the football.
That brings up a 2nd down and 10. After this play, we may have a temporary loss of power for about 10 seconds. It is in control, and we don't want you to be alarmed if that should happen. Wilson back to throw. Across the middle, man is open. Junior Miller, the tight end, across midfield near the 49-yard line. Tackle made by Jim Collins. And that'll bring up a 3rd down and 3.
Yep. What you're seeing right now is the Rams, you know, you come up, they're playing these little zones. They got these guys up. They got the tight end going down, hunting a little seam and setting down. You know what you do? There are 2 types of passes you throw when you respect the defense in their rush. One of them is a little quick 8, 10-yard hook patterns, and the other is a little 3-step slants and outs. Right now, he's throwing a little short hook zones and getting them off and doing a good job of it.
Hobie Brenner comes in motion on 3rd and 4. Blitz coming. They pick it up. Pass incomplete. Almost picked off by Carl Eckert. Intended for Brenner. It'll be 4th down.
There's Carl. Look at it, number 55. He said, golly, I had that thing right in my hands. Can you believe I let that thing get away? They had a little blitz on, and what he did, he came across to pick up the tight end coming across. Now, when he did that, of course, Wilson didn't see him. He just thought the tight end would be wide open. You see Hobie coming out there? Now, Hobie comes inside. There's the blitz. It clears it. He sees that. But whoop, there's 55. It's right through his hands.
Not sure why, but the New Orleans Saints have called timeout. There's Harold Richardson on the right side, the special teams coach. And Bum Phillips talking it over with Dave Wilson.
Going to go for it. Why not?
Think so? Yep. 4th and 4. Looks like they might, Terry.
Yeah, well, that's why it's called timeout. You don't call timeout when you're going to punt the football. Now,
Dickerson has either found a new rock station or he's getting special instructions from upstairs.
I wonder what they're telling this guy. I mean, what do you tell a guy? That's a guy I recruited out of a little town in East Texas to go to Louisiana Tech. We did get him. He was supposed to. That's a guy I recruited out of a little town in East Texas to go to Louisiana Tech. We did get him. He was supposed to.
Want to welcome you back. We just had a temporary power loss, and it was expected and controlled, and we're back now at full steam. Henry Ellard and Leroy Irvin are deep.
Gee, I wonder why they call timeout if they're going to punt. Maybe they got one of these secret plays up their sleeve from special teams.
Well, the Rams are looking for one. Here's Hansen with a kick. Deep left corner. Looks good. Is great. Oh, kicked into the end zone. Unbelievable.
Johnny Poe, number 25, I believe it is.
And Bobby Johnson.
And Bobby Johnson came in and knocked it over with their legs and kicked it into the end zone. Boy, they had him set up down there on about the 1-yard line. Here comes Poe right here.
This is Johnny Poe coming at the ball.
Oh, we're looking at a dead ball. That ball's not going into the end zone. Right now, Johnny, just stop. Oh, there's Bobby Johnson, 34, comes over, and he's trying to cover the ball. Feet slip, knocks it into the end zone. Man, when it rains, it pours.
And it's still 27-14. Starting defensive back for the Rams, Johnny Johnson. Pitch out Dickerson.
I tell you now, this Saints defense has done a number on Eric in the second half. You know, in the first half, he was laying down those archive moves, those things you cut the tape out and send it to Washington for later on when he goes into the Hall of Fame. But now, you know, you got to bring the tape back because the guy's not, you know, hadn't done anything here in the second half.
Archive move.
That's for lack of better words, I guess.
Would Bradshaw to Swan in the Super Bowl be an archive move?
No, that's not an archive move there.
An archive move. I like that. Second down and 8.
Amazed you don't.
Keep educating me, bro. Kemp will throw. Has time. Intercepted. Kovach. Jim Kovach, the linebacker, to the 20-yard line.
Man, you look at this and you say, why, my, oh my, why couldn't we be playing like this from the very beginning of the game? That time Kemp comes back, he sets his feet, he's got Mike Barber open down the middle. He had Mike Barber, the tight end, number 86, folks, in the right of your screen. See him go right now, he makes a move now. He's wide open. Lay the ball up, Jeff. Now, Jeff, there's that 2-iron again you were talking about, Vern. He drills the football in there instead of laying it up, and he gave the linebacker, 52, Kovach, a chance to make the interception, a big turnover. Now, he's wide open. Lay the ball up, Jeff. Now, Jeff, there's that 2-iron again you were talking about, Vern. He drills the football in there instead of laying it up, and he gave the linebacker, 52, Kovach, a chance to make the interception, a big turnover. Now they got it back on the 21-yard line.
That was only the 10th interception this year by the New Orleans Saints, and the first of the season for Dr. Jim Kovach, who got his first sack of the year last week. First down and 10 at the 21. 27-14 ball game. Draw play, Hokie Gaijon to the 16-yard line. Charles DeJournay, number 70, drifting back from the nose tackle spot to make the tackle with help from Jim Collins.
You know, going back to Jeff Kemp, the quarterback, boy, one of the hardest things I had to learn, Vern, when I came over there, I had this strong arm, and I thought I could just throw it by everybody. And it gets you in trouble, a lot of interception. And as time goes by, he'll learn that. He'll get a better vision, and he'll see that, hey, you got to lay that baby up over those linebackers. Had he done that, big play that time to the time as it is. Saints have an interception and driving.
That was only the 6th interception that Kemp has thrown this year. Wilson, deep left corner, adjustment on the route incomplete. Intended for Eugene Goodlow, and Leroy Irvin had pretty good coverage.
Oh, Irvin likes that. You know, like I said earlier, he loves the opportunity to know that you're going to attack him. He likes the idea of making something happen. Told me yesterday, he said, boy, you know, I got so much respect for Lester Hayes and Haynes over there at the Los Angeles Raiders that he said, I believe I'm every bit as good as those guys, and I love the fact that I know people are going to challenge me. They challenged him then. He did a good job of covering his receiver. 3rd and 6. Wilson, 10 out of 20 for 95 yards. There's Leroy Irvin. There he is, 47.
Only 10 men in the lineup, and a late ad. Timeout. That's the second one for New Orleans. Jeff Groth was not in the offensive huddle, and he hurried onto the field, but not in time.
You know, you heard about special team. We got special this and special that. We got a special situation, a special player. You got an extra tight end going in. You got to have a receiver come in and take his place. These guys got to get on the same communication. You need 3 receivers. They need to know they need to be in that football game. Now, I don't know whose responsibility that was, but Jeff Groth needed to be in that football game. He should have been in there. Somewhere along the line, they messed up. Cost them a timeout.
It was their second. They got a 3rd down and 6 now. Groth and Young both wide right. 3-man rush. Reverse to Tyrone Anthony.
Great call.
He's got room. And he's got a first down inside the 10-yard line.
I tell you what made this work was the fact that they came out, showed pass, the linebackers turned their backs and ran back to their coverage. And then when they did that, they got no responsibility for support. Linebackers have to make the support. All right, watch. See, he goes back. He hands the ball off to number 22, Tyrone Anthony. Comes around. There's nobody there for support. The linebackers have to be there. They're in coverage. Boy, that's a good job of running and an outstanding call by the coaching staff of the Saints.
Rookie running back from North Carolina makes a contribution, a big one on 3rd and 6. It's 1st and goal at the 8. His 3rd carry for 15 yards. He stays in the ball game. Touchdown, Brenner. Oh, no, he dropped the ball. Now, how it happened, I'm not sure.
Well, here's how it happened. He's open. There's the pass, right between 2 linebackers. Actually, Hobie hadn't quite gotten his hands where I wouldn't expect it. This is good timing by Wilson. He had to get the ball in there low and hard. There it is, low and hard, right in the old belly and low. Only thing that happened that time was Hovey wasn't quite ready for the football, and David got it in there a little bit early.
Second and goal from the 8, 27-14 with 9:11 to go in the game. Blitz. Wilson reads it. This time it's caught. Eugene Goodlow, only his second touchdown catch of the year.
I tell you what, boy, you got to hand it to Dave Wilson. Man, he hung in there. He looked at the coverage. He went to his primary receiver number 1. He was covered. He stayed. The pressure got him. He moved. Look at that. We love David Wilson. He moves outside. Bam, boy, he fired that football in there and got a touchdown. Good catch. Watch this. Drops, looks. He's covered. Whoops. Moves out. Covered. Now fired in there over the heads of Vince Newsom. Good catch.
Morton Anderson to try and narrow the margin to 6 points. And how about this? 24-0 at one point in the second quarter, and the Rams are holding on.
You see Ekron there blitzing. He comes outside. He moves in. Dodge comes inside. He moves outside again. He says, all right, here we go. Over the head, over the top. Get up there, Eugene. Up over the top. There's the catch right over Urban, the guy who's been wanting to make the big plays.
Eugene Goodlow becomes the third wide receiver to catch a touchdown pass today.
I tell you, he leaped high, pulled it right down, made the big catch.
Terry, an interesting point. Coming into this ball game, the 14th week of the season, wide receivers had caught only 3 touchdown passes all season for New Orleans. And they've doubled that today, or equaled it rather. Uh-oh. Drew Hill. Morton Anderson had to knock him out of bounds. But what a day it's been for Dave Wilson, replacing Richard Todd. He's coming home. He was born and raised in Southern California, in the Anaheim area, as a matter of fact.
Well, you got to really take your hat off to the coaching staff for putting him in the game earlier. You know, they didn't do that earlier with Richard. Well, they did against the 49ers, but they got him in the game early, and he's responded. He's delivered. He's produced. And the team has rallied around him. You know, the offense has moved the football. The defense has played well. Now it's turned around. Now you got to say, hey, these Rams have their backs to the wall, even though they're leading this football game.
They do have good field position, and Eric Dickerson has the ball. Watland finally caught up with it.
This is a classic example of the things that the Saints had worked on for so long was the running back's dipping dart. Watch, you see the pitch, simple little pitch, good line block. Now he cuts back. See the little cut back and a good seam there. Panky 75 came back and made a good seam. Now he runs right through the tackles of 51 Whitney Paul, and then Frank Watland, number 49, had to come over and make the tackle on him.
138-37 yards on 29 carries for Eric Dickerson. He is above the average needed to keep pace with O.J. Simpson's single-season record of 2003. Dickerson again. Gets smacked as he gets to the line of scrimmage by Bruce Clark, number 75. Our score 27-21, Los Angeles. Seattle extending its lead over Detroit now in the fourth quarter, 38-17. And the Raiders have fallen behind Miami. How about that?
How about that?
Dolphins trailed at one point, 24-13. And they have come back with 2 unanswered touchdowns and lead by 3. We've got 7:35 to go in this ball game. Both teams have 1 timeout left. Second down, 7. Blitz. Kemp has the man open. Henry Ellard.
Well, the sign of a good football team, a sign of a successful football team, if they're ever going to become championship, you have to be able to match people stride for stride with scoring, and you have to be able to come at them and take away things from them. Saints had been moving, scored 3 touchdowns. They came back. Boy, Saints committed with a strong safety blitz, put man-on-man Waymer out there on Henry Ellard. Boy, hits him with a good pass. He turns it inside, makes a touchdown out of it.
That's a 58-yard drive in only 3 plays. Here's Lansford for the extra point. Up and good. Henry Ellard, take a look from the end zone.
What you do when you're trying to get a team out of field goal situation, folks, is that you send people. You send the safeties to try to catch them by surprise. They send Russell Gary, number 20, of the strong safety, on a blitz. That puts Waymer, 44, man for man on this man, Henry Ellard, number 80. All he did was catch a simple little old hook, turn around, and outrun everyone. And boy, can this guy, hey, these receivers can run now. We're talking Olympic speed.
They are fleet. And Ellard gets his second touchdown catch of the day from Jeff Kemp. Kemp is now 10 of 22 for 127 yards and 2 TDs, both to Henry Ellard. It began with a kickoff return from Drew Hill out near midfield.
I'll tell you one nice thing about that score that's in favor of the Saints, Vern. Maybe they did it too soon. 3 plays, 58 yards. Maybe they did. That may be to the advantage of the Saints if they can get that ball and move it back down the field again. Maybe that's to their advantage. That way they didn't eat up 5 and 6 yards. Hey, they're not on their helmets, are they? These guys are up on their knees. They're standing up. They're looking around. They're in this ball game again.
Skinner Fields at the 16-yard line.
He's got that move down, doesn't he?
David Crodiff, number 28, made the tackle. Coming up next Saturday in the NFL Today, football, the state of the game. That's at 3:30 Eastern time. Talk about the competition between the goalposts, the competition on the airwaves. And you'll hear from some of the principals involved, including NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle. Then the Minnesota Vikings against the San Francisco 49ers, 3:30 Eastern time. 49ers now 13-1 for the year.
Hey.
Looking more and more like a contender.
They look like the best one, don't
Yep, they sure do. There's Stan Brock, who went out in the first half with a knee sprain. And boy, as gritty as he is, you know how much he'd love to be back in the lineup. Kelvin Clark had moved to right tackle. Handoff. Kofi Gaijon. Gary Jeter, number 77, made the tackle.
You know, they went to this 3-4 defense, 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers. And the primary reason they went to it was because they were having trouble with their pass rush and their coverage and everything. They went to it. But you know the thing I've noticed today with the 3 down linemen is the pressure they put on the quarterback and how well these 3 defensive linemen have stopped the run. They have done an outstanding job.
See the clock, 6:35 to go. 21 for New Orleans, 34 for the Rams. 2nd and 10. Into the flat for Gaijon. Out of bounds at the 21-yard line. Knocked there by Mel Owens and Jim Collins. Now for an NFL Today report. Let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
This may be the best quarterbacking performance we've seen since Terry Bradshaw was winning Super Bowls in Pittsburgh. Dave Craig's 5th touchdown pass. Only 2 other quarterbacks this year have done it. That Danny Marino and Mark Wilson. And Terry, Craig looks awfully good.
Brent. Back it up. Brent make a good agent, wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. The tall guy right over here.
Hey, good view from up here, folks.
Wilson. Man is open. Incomplete. Eugene Goodlow. 4th down.
David took a shot that time, but he stood his ground. Those linebackers came up that time, Vern, and played tight on the backs underneath, so he had to go downtown, down deep. And you see Eugene Goodlow coming across the ball, throwing just a little bit high. Had it been a little lower, then David probably would have completed this. There he is, striding right through. Good form, stepped in there. Then right there. Number 77, Jeter, boy, busted him right when he got rid of the football.
Brian Hansen on the punt now, and Henry Ellard waits for it at the 35-yard line. 34-21 with 6:14 to go in the game. Rams led 24-0 at one point. Saw the lead diminish to 27-21. Watch him run. To the 44-yard line. Bobby Johnson, number 34, made the tackle. Let's bring you through the scores for this afternoon, the 14th week of the National Football League season in '84. Dallas over Philadelphia. They go 9-5 now and stay tied in the East with the Giants, who are 20-10 victors over the New York Jets. St. Louis kept a game back with a 33-10 victory at New England today. San Francisco 13-1 for the year as they demolish Atlanta 35-17. Green Bay fought back to win over Tampa Bay 27-14. Cincinnati in overtime over Cleveland by 3. And Buffalo beat Indianapolis to win its second of the year. First down and 10. Dickerson coming left. Almost to the 39-yard line. 5:50 to go in the game. Continue with our updating of scores throughout the National Football League. Kansas City, 3 field goals in the final quarter to defeat Denver 16-13. Pittsburgh loses to Houston in overtime, 23-20. And that AFC Central race is very tight. Seattle leading Detroit 38-17 in the fourth quarter. And the Raiders have fallen behind Miami now, 27-24, also in the fourth quarter. Dickerson has carried 31 times for 146 yards. Redden and Crutchfield in the backfield in the eye. Kemp will throw it. Oh, boy.
I tell you got one of those situations where the quarterback was on one page and then Ron Brown, number 89, he was on another page. Look, Jeff said, look, I had to quick out and you had to slant. Now, next time, let's run the quick out. See, quarterbacks are always right. They say quick out, it's a quick out. What he saw then, he set Raymer up. He went right by him, but Jeff threw the quick out. Missed, you know, one of those little misfunctions there. You know, one of the things you got to look for, they anticipated blitz. You blitz people when you want to cause things that happen. Sacks, interceptions. They anticipated blitz, so they felt like they had been man for man. That's why they threw the football. It doesn't surprise me at all they tried to do that, Vern.
3rd and 5. Interceptor. Got it. That's his 4th of the year. Dave Waymer leads the Saints. And Jeff Kemp has thrown his 2nd interception this afternoon.
Well,
Waymer may have fallen on the ball.
Well, he felt it probably did knock the air out of him, but young Jeff is learning today that arm can get you in a whole lot of trouble, boy. It's nice to have that 300 Magnum sitting on your hip there, on your shoulder, wherever it sits, but he's got her out there, guns that baby out there. This is just a good play. Ball's a little bit late. Waymer comes in, makes a fine effort to intercept the ball. Earlier, he gets burned for a touchdown. Now he comes back, great ones, and they redeemed themselves. Boy, that's a fine interception.
You think the ground may have helped him intercept the ball?
Well, I don't know, Vern. What do you think?
Looked like he might have gotten a little assistance. At any rate, Waymer appears to have had the wind knocked out of him.
Go down there and ask Dave if the ground helped him.
I'm sure it didn't, in his perspective. 5:05 to go. And
excuse me, go ahead.
Really, one of the real personable characters on the Saints, Dave Waymer is.
We're going to
Take another look at it.
He extends himself here. He sees the football, and he extends himself and lunges. See, he lunges out, grabs the football. Now, let's see if he has the ground. And I can't tell. I can't tell, but ref standing right there, he said he intercepted it, so, you know, we got to go by that. He intercepted it. He paid for it, too.
Physicians are still tending to Dave Waymer, who is now sitting up.
I'll tell you what, that's awful painful. I know, not being an athlete, you don't know what it's like to have your wind knocked out of you, but boy, that is a horrible experience for him to have your wind leave your body, like, especially when you land on something like a little football.
Yeah, he's up and he's all right. We're playing golf next week. 34-21, Rams over New Orleans.
A little golf ball hit you in the stomach, it could hurt you.
5:05 to go. Wilson not quite back to the line of scrimmage. That's the first time he has been sacked today.
Jim Youngblood, number 53, new blood, Youngblood. That's a guy that they cut. They thought he was going to retire, and they released him, and he went on up to Seattle, and they released him, and he went somewhere else from there, and finally comes back here, and they brought him back in, and Johnny Robinson told us yesterday he's a guy that's not going to make the great play for you, but he's going to be right there. He's not going to make the mental mistakes. Good job that time by Jim Youngblood, number 53.
Second down, 11. Four-man rush by the Rams. Wilson drills it. Fumble. Rams have it. Tyrone Young. Jim Collins recovered.
This is a young man that's made a lot of big plays for these Saints throughout the season. They haven't thrown the football that much, and their wide receivers haven't caught that many, but when they have, this young man's been on the end of many of their exciting plays. He did a good job there of catching the football, and I can't fault a young man for turning around and trying to make something big happen in a game when they're behind. He did that. They stripped the ball out of his arm, caused the fumble, and the Rams recovered.
Turnover comes with 4:27 remaining in the ball game. That is the 4th turnover by New Orleans this afternoon. They've had 3 passes intercepted and the first fumble they have lost. Dickerson to the 43. I would think, Terry, that Bum Phillips has got to be a little pleased, though, by his team's comeback in this game.
Well, there are a lot of things that can happen in a football game at the end of the season. You would expect, well, yeah, they play Wilson just to give him some experience. They brought him in here in a game when Todd was not playing well. He's been the igniter. He's been the flame. Everything that's happened today has been caused by his appearance. At least that's the way it appears to us. Things have happened. They've scored points. Defense and offensively, they certainly have played up to their potential today, especially in the second half.
Dickerson again.
Jackson.
Ricky Jackson. It'll be 3rd and 7 as Jackson makes the tackle on Eric Dickerson.
You know, excuse me, bro, when you have those delay plays like that, you got a linebacker blitzing. Boy, he sits right there, and he's right on the halfback's hip, man. He just made the play. He almost caught him before he got the football.
That is the 33rd carry for Dickerson today. 148 yards.
What was that Coach Robinson told you yesterday about Dickerson? I looked at him. He comes off, and I look at his eyes to see if he's tired. So the guy never looks tired.
Never, ever. Well, I asked Eric yesterday. He said he can never, ever remember being tired in a football game. Pitch out, Redden. He's going to be caught and dropped. So the Saints will get the ball back as Frank Warren is over there with Ricky Jackson, number 57.
I tell you, great play that time by 75. Defensive left end, Bruce Clark. Boy, he manhandled the right. There he is. He manhandled the right-hand side of the offensive line that time. Ross Bollinger, number 73. Look at him, comes inside, gets up underneath him. Bollinger doesn't even get a hand on him. He's right back there and nails him in the backfield for a loss.
Jenner Fields back to return the punt of John Misko, who's had anything but a great day.
I wonder if he's thinking about all those punters they brought in this week. Notably, one ex-Saint in Russell Ertzleben.
Been hanging around Southern California all week just in case.
I got him. I got, look at him pointing. I got him. I got him. You got him. You take him. Hey, good kick.
Sure is. Into the end zone. Touchback.
Gee, you talk about him, and then all of a sudden they knock a 60-yarder.
Boom. Rams get the ball back with 2:14 to go in the ball game. Coming up next Saturday, the NFL Today, the state of the game, football. And we'll talk about the competition on the field and the airwaves. That begins at 3:30 Eastern time. And will be followed by the confrontation featuring the Minnesota Vikings visiting the San Francisco 49ers at 3:30 Eastern time next Saturday on CBS Sports. 1st and 10 with 2:14 to go in the game. It was 44-0 midway through the second quarter, 24-7 at the half, Los Angeles. New Orleans came back behind Dave Wilson to cut it to 27-21 at one point. That's going to be out of bounds. Gary Green and Tyrone Young in the middle of the Ram bench. And the clock will stop at 2:07.
That's one of those old high school plays where you go out there, you say hook and go. You tell that guy hook and go. Tyrone Young, 89. He runs down the field. He stops and tries to get the corner to come up and commit to the pass at a, you know, on the hook. And when you do that, then you turn around and you fly it normally wide open. Well, that time the corner did not bite. He just stayed back. It's a dead play.
John Robinson told us yesterday he wanted to throw the ball 20 times and run it 40 times. And look at that, 24 and 44.
Well, he lied to us now.
Wilson has an acre. Now he'll go deep for Junior Miller, who takes a pop on the helmet.
Gary Green, 27, boy, just unloads on 84 that time. Look at him talking about it. 22 and 27.
Oh, boy.
Well, that's one of those times when, once again, you're going to see Wilson gets outside the pocket. Instead of running, He says, hey, there's not that much time left in this game. We've got to get big things downfield, big plays. He gets outside, he fires. It looks like it's going to be a completion, and whop, 27 comes over. My gosh, Gary Green, and just unloads on big 84, and I'm talking big, folks. This guy here is about 255. Junior Miller.
2-minute warning.
Mr. Miller.
That's right. Los Angeles leading 34-21 with 2 minutes to go. It'll be 3rd down and 10 when play resumes. And assuming a Ram victory, they go 9-5 and stay right in the thick of the wild card things. They will be tied in the chase for the wild card with Washington, Dallas, New York. 4-way tie at 9-5. And the Cardinals just a game back at 8-6. New Orleans would fall to 6-8 and be mathematically eliminated from the wild card spot, assuming a loss here today. Now, the Rams have Houston coming up, and then they have to visit San Francisco. One I would think would assume a victory by the Rams here against the Oilers, but a tough game up in San Francisco, the last game of the season, Terry.
Right, Vern.
I'm glad we don't pay you by the word.
I know. I was talking to our producer that time while you were talking.
I didn't know.
But whatever you said, I know it was the truth.
Absolutely. 3rd and 10. 3-man rush for Los Angeles. Wilson looks. Brenner has the pass. First down at the 40.
He gave it to him. That's right.
Yes, sir.
I tell you got to admire these guys. You got to admire David Wilson. You got to give it to Brenner for breaking that route off and getting downfield. These guys are, hey, they're saying, let's get down and let's score. Folks back in New Orleans that are watching this game today got to be impressed with the offense. I know they've been behind, but they've got to say, now, why don't you do this all the time? See, this is what happens. Why don't you throw this football all the time? Why don't you get out and make things happen and make, throw that football and spread it around like they're doing here in the second half?
Would you make the change at quarterback a permanent one for the end of the year?
Well, I'm not the coach.
I'm putting you on the spot.
But I am going to say this. I would not be surprised if David Wilson starts next week.
Okay.
That would not surprise me at all. Matter of fact, it would almost be shocking if he didn't start.
Wilson now is 14 of 28, 3 touchdowns. He goes deep for Brenner and will be intercepted. Jim Collins trying to make something happen.
Well, when you try to make something happen, good things and bad things happen. A while ago, you had a good thing happen with the good adjustment by Brenner and the fine throw by David Wilson on a little scramble. That time, try to get that football in there, drill it in there. You get the best linebacker and 50, Jim Collins, covering him. He just makes a fine play. You don't fault people for this. When they're making an effort and when they're giving 100%, you don't fault them for that. It's when they look like they're not doing it. I see the ball's a little bit behind and Jim was able to make the interception. Watch Wilson's reaction to this, as most quarterbacks' reactions are when they see this. You got it. Look at this. This guy wants to win. This guy's a winner. Get that attitude. I like his attitude.
Rams take over with a 34-21 lead and 1:42 remaining in the ball game. Both teams with 1 timeout left. Eric Dickerson has carried 33 times. He's on the bench now. Barry Redden gets the pitch out, slips and falls, and is down at the 40-yard line by Whitney Paul. Final score, Seattle wins over Detroit 38-17. The Seahawks, who trailed Denver much of the year, now have a 1-game edge with 2 to play.
One interesting thing in looking at that Seattle score, there's a football team that has slowly gotten better. While the Dolphins came out and were blowing everyone away early in the season, that old thing called peak at the right time. It seems like the Seahawks now are peaking right at the end of the season. And on the other hand, it looks like the Dolphins may have leveled off. Still, their level off, their plane of leveling off is still mighty high. There's young Dave Wilson.
Steve Court sitting next to him on the bench.
There's a guy that's potential all-pro at center, has played guard almost this entire season.
Because of injuries. 1:29 to go. Executive producer of the NFL on CBS is Terry O'Neill. Our senior producer is Charles H. Milton III. Today's game from Anaheim produced by Michael Burks and directed by John McDonough. Associate producer John Fortunato, our associate director Sarah Fisher, and it's great to have her back with us working the game. Philip Wilson, field technical manager, and our broadcast associate Vinny DeVito. who can imitate announcers about as well as anybody I know. I haven't heard him do you yet.
No, I'm hard to do.
And the guys have supplied the pictures and the videotape today. Thanks to all of you. 2nd down and 12.
Hope we get Christmas presents.
Barry Redden near midfield. Clock will wind down with 1:13 to go. I'm curious about what you think of LA's chances in the playoffs. They've got to go for a wild card spot, of course, because the 49ers have locked up the division championship.
Well, I think they would like to have their first game at home, so they were hoping one of those 3 teams would lose today, and maybe they'd, you know, in that point system, they'd have one of these guys out here. But I like what they did today. Their running game is outstanding. Their defense, I think, is a good, solid defense. The thing that I was very encouraged by today was the fact that they attacked the Saints with their passing attack. And this is something that they've been saying here in Los Angeles. They need to throw the football more. If they get that balance there, and it's a very consistent one, I think they have a very good chance. Any one of those wild card teams could pull off some upsets on the way.
Good look at Bill Bain, who's had a good day. Another in a continuation of fine days at right tackle for the Rams this year. LA has used its final timeout. You saw the update on that score. The Raiders back in front of Miami. They went in front on a 75-yard pass from Mark Wilson to Dokie Williams. It's 31-27, and the score came with 8:53 remaining in that game.
That's one of your great football names, Dokie Williams.
Dokie Williams. We've got 43 seconds to go in our game. New Orleans back home against Cincinnati next week, and then they close out the year at the New York Giants on a Saturday in December. 3rd down and a long one. Barry Redden coming left, gets by Glenn Red, and reaches the 50, but that will probably not be enough for the 1st down as Dave Waymer, number 44, made the tackle. Thank our crew upstairs, Gary Bradshaw, Dave Yagi, Joe Cash, and Nancy Lundquist for helping us out as the clock winds down. 20 seconds. We do have a large crew in the booth. And as the clock winds down, the Rams go to 9-5. Eric Dickerson with 148 yards today. Keeps on pace in his chase with O.J. Simpson. Our final score, the Los Angeles Rams defeat the New Orleans Saints 34-21.